Thank you,
Good.
Michael.
Thank you.
And Doug from The Lost One. Congratulations on your film, on your nomination. And thank you for joining us, of course.
Absolutely.
You can say anything on the feed, just don't use the C word, but other than that,
That's
you can say anything else. Feel free.
Connecticut?
Yeah,
that's the one I never use. I never use Connecticut.
You can say Clinton without that.
Within.
Maybe. I know we've already spoken a bit about the film and how you came to make it, but people won't know that.
Sure.
So it's a case of how you came to make the film and at what point you became involved in the project. So
actually from the very beginning.
Right, okay.
Right, we did this right from the beginning. Doug called me up one day and said, I want you to come down here and we're going to talk about
He told me he rang you and said, can you lend me $5?
Yeah. Well, no, I hoped he had the money to finance it. Basically, that was the scam.
It was a bit like that. You know, he said, look, I come down and...
Oh, wait, so you literally from the out, you were you part of it? Yes. Right, okay.
We had worked in legit theater together, so we had that history, and all of a sudden it was like, and we'd worked in a web series.
Yeah.
So I directed him in a web series, and this kind of like was a break in time, and I thought, well, I want to do something, and I would like Michael to be involved with it. So I did reach out to him and say, come over, let's talk about it. And so we kicked around some ideas, and we thought, the problem, it's interesting, several people have mentioned this, why remake a classic movie or a good movie, which they're doing all the time now, which is a mistake. Instead of saying, well, what's something that wasn't that good but had some great elements?
Right.
So we started talking about films that we knew, and we thought, that wasn't a great movie, but there's some great ideas in it. So we pitched it back and forth and came up with the idea that was The Lost One.
Oh, right. So that's how there was something or elements of other films
Absolutely.
you thought, well, if they'd have done it this way, maybe a bit,
there was a Hitman movie. We thought, well, Hitman's an interesting idea.
I've seen that, yeah.
Right, everyone's seen it. So what's the twist? Yeah. What can we do differently with him? And so Michael said, well, what if it's his emotional journey? I said, okay, let's springboard from that. What kind of emotional journey? And then it came up with lost love. And love in terms of everyone in the film has some kind of lost love or lost emotion, something they've reached for that they can't get or didn't achieve, and how it took them down different roads, be it prostitution, drug addiction. Michael's character becomes a hitman. So everyone has some element in the film that they've lost, and it becomes kind of a love story, strangely enough, based on that. So we took the twist and said, let's take another level. And so his best friend, who actually is his wingman when he does the jobs, it becomes like a Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. You see the bromance. These two guys will do anything, anything for each other, and it eventually they give the ultimate sacrifice. So
all the way through, you're involved in. I mean, obviously, you're pitching these ideas. So ultimately, I suppose you're kind of part of the filmmaking process.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
As just being an actor sounds bad.
No.
I don't mean it that way, but
no.
Which is quite unusual.
Yeah.
So were you literally bouncing ideas, going, well, let's do this, and we add into, and
ideas
you came out with went directly into the film?
We were looking for things to explore.
Right.
Out of a basic idea.
Yeah.
There were more things to explore in this film than were obvious at first.
Yeah. And that's what we discovered as we kept bouncing it back and forth. And Mike would say, you know what? What about this? Or an incident or something we'd seen or actually had personally happen, we would say, is there any way we can incorporate that into it? And then characters developed like that. Now, the other thing that was great when we started casting, Michael and I had a pretty strong idea of what we wanted. So when we started bringing actors in, the first thing we did is we would send them a script and say, read it, see if it's something you're interested in. If you're not, fine, no harm, no foul, we'll go on. But every actor kind of said, this is really unique. It's a three-dimensional character I get to play with. It's not just, I have one thing. There were all these layers. So we were lucky enough that we had, what was it, 1 day of rehearsal? Usually we try to do 1 day?
Just about.
Because you're quite, I think I'm right in saying that you're quite an advocate of theatre actors.
Yes.
And can you explain why it is that you like working with theatre as opposed to actors that would just work in film or TV?
Right.
You can accomplish so much more.
Because they've got to get it. I suppose they're used to getting it on the money.
Yeah.
Quickly. And yes, you can accomplish so much more that way.
Yeah.
And there's a through line to every scene.
They also were able to bring elements that, as opposed to thinking, well, I've got to learn all these lines, they would come prepared.
Yeah.
So we would get on set, and that was already taken care of. They, like you said, they immediately got it. And if they didn't, we could tweak it, we could fine tune it. Or if they had a question, why is this person doing this? And we would resolve most of that. And in fact, out of that came some fascinating line changes and evolutions of the characters from the actors, because they were intelligent enough to go, well, this is happening this time, well, what about this? And you'd go, oh, actually, that's a better idea than we came up with. Let's do that. So we were very open to that ensemble approach of talent bringing what they had in their strong suits, and then what we envisioned it.
See, that's what Orson Welles done. You see, you're stepping in great shoes. Took his whole theatre.
It's one of those people that you love, and you go, okay, that learn from, steal from the best, isn't that it?
That's what they say.
And did it all go according to? I mean, the whole shoot, was it pretty much how you envisioned it to be?
Pretty much so. I'm trying to think.
I mean, did you storyboard it, for instance?
Yes, I do. I always storyboard it. Yeah. But within that, I'm flexible enough to know if we get into an environment that something changes and we have to, I'm adaptable to that. So, and the storyboarding made it easy for everyone to kind of know where we were going, what was going to be shot, and what was on the page, and because we got the rehearsal time, I could actually pre-block a few things. So my DP would know what the shots were going to look like. So if there was something that needed to be set up or a movement or something. There's one scene where Michael has with a call girl, and basically it's a tango. And we worked it like that. So the movement with the two actors was very much a dance and the tension.
Oh, so it wasn't ad hoc. I mean, that was actually scripted and storyboarded to run that way.
Yes.
Right.
But then they brought their own elements to it and how they. So you envision it, you storyboard it. Oh, this is happening. And then the actors get together and you actually start moving them, and they go, you know what? That looks great on a page, but it's not good on the screen, or you're not comfortable with it. So they would change it. Michael would say, well, what if I did this?
Oh, right. So you adapt.
Absolutely.
It's interesting how many filmmakers I speak to don't storyboard, which surprises me. I mean, I can't pass judgment because I'm not a filmmaker.
Right.
But it just seems to me that before you even film a shot, why wouldn't you storyboard it? Because it must help massively. Well,
it does several things. It gives you a blueprint to work from. Plus, it also gives you you're already starting to edit the movie. You're already starting to visualize what the final outcome, at least for me. So then, if something comes out of that creatively from the experience or the camera shot, or the DP says, you know what, if I had this, it's fine. You can already work that in because you know where you're going with the scene.
Yeah.
And the talent can too. They can look at it and go, okay, I know this shot's going to be here, and this is how you envision it. So we'll see. I think it's ridiculous not to storyboard. That's just me.
It would seem fairly obvious, but a lot of them don't.
Right.
It's quite surprising how many don't. In fact, I would say, for filmmakers I speak to and ask them, more don't than do. Quite
the free form, I guess it works for some people. It seems like it wastes time on set to decide what you're going to do at that point instead of already knowing what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because why would you have a lot of people standing around going, well, he's going to decide how the shot's going to be, or if you already have it, everyone's ready to rock and roll. You're immediately there, and okay, this is what's going on, boom, 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 this is where the lights need to be. But that being said, we went a very dogma style. We used all existing lights. We didn't add any lights. So that kept we would find environments that gave us something interesting in the environment itself, so we didn't have to add a lot. Maybe a reflector here, there. Most of the stuff was just as it was. The airport, the pier, the hotel lobby, none of that. We just walked in and shot.
As was.
As it was. And again, it made us real run and gun, so we could get in and get out. And spend the time on what was important, the actors and the scene.
It's not actually guerrilla filmmaking as such, but I suppose it saves a lot of time.
It does. And I get the dogma style was basically you use what's existing. You don't go in there and you don't add elements of extra lights, and you don't. If we had everything was practical. Everything worked that way. When we were in the bar
was
real.
Yeah. And
the lights we used, they're around a table, and it happened to have a red light there, and it's like, this is perfect. This actually. And so we had one actor in the red light, and then another actor in a red to an orange, but that was all the natural lights that they had in the bar. So we just said, that's perfect, let's use that, let's go with that.
And for you, Michael, how do you, a thing I find interesting in any actors, how they can switch in and out of the roles. Switch into the role and then just turn it on and off, and suddenly you put it away and you're washing the dishes or whatever you're going to do, But is there a sort of a secret to it? Because knowing me, I would imagine if I was ever to become an actor, which is extremely unlikely, it's always, how do they do that? And then suddenly it's not there anymore. I mean, you don't put it in a box, but how do you work that? I know you've got theatre background, I know you've been acting for a long time, but how do you get into any role, this role?
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. I must confess, I hold on to things a little longer than
Right.
I should, perhaps, or it might be, I don't go home with it. I don't run around in my unconscious all day. But you do try to tap into your subconscious and the thoughts and the wound of the character, if you will.
Yeah.
And you can't act that, but it gives you what you need.
I mean, for instance, if you're doing a scene which you would never, say you have to stab someone in the scene for argument's sake, which obviously you would never do in real life, and it goes against everything
Right.
you believe in, but you've got to act that out. That's I guess what I'm getting at. Doing something like that, it must be very tough. Because how can you not be affected, I guess, by that?
Well, yes, you do have to live the circumstances of what brings that on, what you need, and what you hope to achieve, no matter what it is that you're required to do from the story. You have to go there and be that. And
see, that's the beauty of Michael and a lot of all the actors involved in is we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to. The process he understood, he could get to those places.
Yeah, and I sense he's deep, very
absolutely.
deep.
And you don't
feel
mess
that.
with, or at least I don't. I don't mess with that. I know he's beyond capable. So part of the beauty is I wouldn't ask him that question. It's interesting. That's why I'm having a fun time watching this, because we never went there because I knew he got it.
don't mistake me. Nobody becomes.
Right.
You don't become, but one does have to decide and make decisions about what you need, what you have to have, and what drives that. And the wound of the character drives that. What it drives what that character needs and what ultimately that character will do to get what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, the whole filmmaking process is just like I've said to you before. I take my hat off to you all because, we talked about that first day on shoot, and the night before, and
no sleep,
the butterflies.
You're thinking of all the things you forgot.
Yeah, and something else we touched on is, what Mr. X doesn't turn up, or Miss Y doesn't turn up, and then suddenly you're in a nightmare scenario, and the whole thing. Watching the cast or crew, it stuns me how anyone can put a film together.
But again, I was very blessed, and I've said this, and he's heard me say this, with a cast that I literally could just stay out of their way. That was my chores, to stay out of their way, because they had it.
Yeah.
Michael was able to tap into, as he says, the wound, the character, and we also spent time talking about the arcs of the characters and how the film would progress in terms of pacing, as well as the humor. And there's quite a bit of humor in it, but the humor and how his character would react to humor. There's the whole male machoism, and then there's the female side of the sensitivity, and how does someone like that deal with those two things? When are they shut down? And Michael got that, and he understood that in the character, that sometimes he had to be vulnerable. And then we talked about when the character was vulnerable. What set that off? Now, once he had decided that, and we'd figured that out and agreed on it, there's no reason for me to bring it up again, because he's got all that going on.
Yeah.
And that's the luxury I had with Michael, with Mark Feit, who plays his buddy, and all the other actors, the police captain. They all had the deep thing going on, or the subtext, if you will, of knowing what the characters were about, and I didn't have to worry about that. So it made it fun. So we would spend time on setting up the shots that would best enhance what they were bringing, as opposed to saying, well, I've got to teach you this. There was no teaching. They knew. And that's a wonderful thing, to know that your actors have it.
And was there any, I mean, I know every film has cuts made, of course, but when you're actually making the film, was there any part of the film you were putting together, and you're just like, this is just not working. This is not. We can't have this in there. Or did it go pretty much as you hoped it would?
Well, there was a couple of long shots we had. I really wanted to do long takes again because of theater.
Yeah, I love
actors.
seeing that.
Exactly.
Because that's the pressure on, isn't it?
Exactly. But because the actors could handle it, I had no problem. It became technical issues. A camera bump here or something in the frame that we need. So it necessitated us doing cuts, which, that's just the nature of the beast. When you get to the editing room, you start saying, well, we've got this here, we have to find a cutaway or something like that. So really, I can't think of any. Can you?
No.
Anyone that really
technical things. Otherwise, we were on
technical.
We were on the pier one night. It was freezing.
That's true. I'd forgotten about that.
And my teeth were chattering.
And we had to go back to shoot. We're watching the dailies, and he's going, and we're going, okay, that's not going to work. It's supposed to be summertime.
I'm trying to swallow it, and not chatter.
And his lips are turning blue.
Yeah, we had to go back and do it again.
So we went back another night and did that.
Yeah. But a long take is a luxury, actually.
Yeah, because most filmmakers don't do it, do they? Let's be honest.
No.
A long take is a luxury for me.
Yeah.
Because I get to work.
That's right.
I get to.
Yeah.
I get to, crank it up and let it fly.
And I'm also one that the scene may end, but I don't call cut. I let it go on. I let the actors, if there's something there, we may get a moment of magic at the end there that wasn't planned. So I let the actors, a lot of people go, okay, with the scene, cut, and no, let it run a little long. Give it a heads and tails. Let the actors breathe.
Do what they do,
right.
yeah.
I was lucky enough to read somewhere that Clint Eastwood doesn't call action because it startles actors. And he learned that, he said, when he was doing a Western, Rawhide, the TV series.
Crikey, that is going back.
Yeah, and he said that's where he learned it, because whenever he was on the horse and they would call action, the horse would startle. He said, if it's doing it to a horse, it's got to be doing it to me. So he's a big one for saying, okay, let's go. And so using that, whenever we could, I would say, all right, let's just start and let the actors get into it and give us some lead time so that we rolled into it and they could go into it and feel it and breathe, and it became much more relaxed. So there's a naturalism to the piece that a lot of films don't have.
Now you've seen the transition from digital, from film to digital.
Yeah, I love digital.
But what's the plus? Okay, but that's kind of my next question. But is there anything about film that you miss? Whether it's the look or...
Yeah, I know a lot of people obsess on the quality, the visual look of film, and that's fine if you're going to be really obsessive about that. But now, with the cameras, with the processing, with the capabilities of what you're getting on digital, it's actually higher quality. They're having to pull back on digital because it's every pore, so you can step back now and actually do it. The post-production is the other thing. You have a lot more flexibility in color correction. There were a couple of scenes we had where I thought it was going to be fine, but as we saw it in color correction, the face needed to be lightened a little bit. Well, you can go in there digitally and lighten the face and just give a little glow, which you couldn't do on film. You'd have to reshoot it. So
no wasted film.
No wasted film. Also, film, until they started getting monitors, you didn't know what you had until you had dailies the next day.
Yeah.
And then it was too late, or it was going to be a fortune to redo it. So in terms of financing, it's a better financial choice now. If I were a financer, I'd go, okay, you're shooting digitally, that's great. And then I'd ask what kind of camera you
got
have.
red or whatever it is.
Exactly,
Yeah.
or area or whatever, because they all have different settings and all that. But if you have a DP that knows that, you're already ahead of the game. So. And
I know you were part of it from the beginning, Michael, but were you involved actually in the production side of it? So were you there saying, yeah, that's a great shot, or it went really well, but can we, I don't know, try at a higher frame or whatever? I don't know. I'm not technical, but were you involved in that sort of production side of it as well?
No.
Did you just like, we're together. I'm doing my gig now.
Right. No, I agree with him.
Right. Yeah, very good.
I agree with Doug. And I was there.
Yeah.
I was there certainly all the time.
In fact, a couple of times I had to tell him. I said, "You're an actor. Stop."
I was worrying.
Exactly. He was worried.
We talk about stuff afterward.
Yeah.
And I start worrying about things. But I was there all the time. But no. We talk. You know.
And luckily, we spent the time before to do all that.
Sure.
So when we got on set, I wanted him to concentrate just on acting and not worry about the other stuff. That was my problem.
We'd be going home and stuff in the truck.
That's right.
And
And we'd be talking. We'd start talking.
So how did you both feel when it's the final cut? You've got it. It's going on screen for the first time. The film's rolling. What was your reaction?
We were nervous.
No, yeah. I mean, was it like, I loved it. This is pretty much how I hoped it would be.
What did you think?
Well, I gotta confess, I can't stand watching myself. You know that? You know, I won't watch myself unless I'm made to watch myself. If I have to re-record something.
Post was real hard.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Is that because you're your biggest critic, or just hate watching yourself?
Well,
Yeah.
no, it just gets him. I don't know. I just can't stand it. You know? And I have to.
I can't stand it. I hate it.
I'm not objective enough to use it as a tool. Like some
Right.
actors
Yeah.
can do that. Julianne Moore is very interesting when she talks about that because she's able to do that. You know, I wish I were.
Right.
I can't. You know, it's okay. It's not a handicap. That's his.
Yeah. But that being said, he trusted me. He knew I wasn't going to
Sure.
make him look bad.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So when you did see it,
Yeah.
you were like, okay,
Were
I'm
you
really
happy?
pleased with
I
that.
could. Yes. There were things I could live with. You know,
How diplomatic.
there were things that were okay. You know. I could handle. But yeah. Yes.
Because filmmakers always say that the overriding things for them is more time
Sure.
and more money, of
Sure.
course. But more time actually very much comes near the top. You know, and when you looked at it, I mean, what was your reaction? Do you wish you'd done this scene or had more time?
We actually cut some stuff. I had an amazing editor, Nick. I've worked with him several times, and he's got a sensibility and a style, and he understands my feeling about pacing. I don't mind taking time with actors and scenes. I like them to breathe. Everything doesn't have to be, you know, okay, it's 2 minutes in, we gotta have a car chase, or someone's gotta blow. It's not like that at all. So I was lucky there. I think there were a couple, you and I talked about this, there were a couple things I wish I had maybe massaged or taken another take. Because of time, we needed to get out of the location, or we had the police chasing us, or something. But something like that.
Not literally.
No. But every once in a while, I mean, I wish I'd had more time with music and scoring, because we wanted to get it done. And again, that's just I wonder how, if I had given it over to someone to do their thing musically, what it would have come out like.
Yeah.
But that being said, in terms of the plot and the way it looks, no, I had very strong, and I was very happy with those things. There's an element that's in the movie of reflections, of either mirrors or pictures, and you see reflections, and there's always at least a reflection of one of the actors in the scene with them. So the idea had been, and we talked about this, that we are usually three people: the people we project, the people that people see us as and perceive, and then who we really are.
Yeah.
So that runs throughout the whole movie, and it's a subliminal thing, but it's a thing that if someone sees that nuance, it might be interesting to go, there's always this other person in the frame. So the two-person scene with you and the call girl is a perfect example, but there's, in the hotel room, there's a mirror sliding glass door. And there's always another person, the reflection of the girl as the girl's in the frame with Michael, or Michael's. So there's always that other person in there. And it's just one of those things where it did something. When I would say that to the actors, they always realized, oh, there's more than one of me here. And it was an interesting, watching how they use that to their advantage. And actors, God love them, are smart enough to go, that's something I can play with. I can turn into that, and all of a sudden I'm talking to myself. So it's really fascinating to see how actors would use it.
And as a percentage, how happy are you with the finished film? Listen,
85.
I'm sort of putting you on the spot. 85. Well, that's good.
Yeah, because there are things I would like to go back and do. I mean, I was telling him I was working some things just at the house, and I discovered a scene I'd forgotten about, and I said, oh, I wish I'd used that. So, you know, you forget about it as you're going through, and you're working with your editor, and you're cutting, he's fine-tuning it, and you're tweaking things, and you go, and then all of a sudden you just rediscover something, and you go, that's a great shot. I wish I'd used that. So, I think 85. There are things I would change, but not the talent, not the shots themselves.
I thought Michael was a bit of a dodgy character.
Yeah, he was. I had a
He's
hard
dodgy
time with
actor,
him.
isn't
He wanted his trailer and special food. There was this whole thing about food. You know?
So what's next for both of you?
You?
Oh, at the moment, this is it. We're just going forward.
Yeah. Our production company,
For me.
Yeah.
and he's part of it. Our production company, Little Dog Productions. We've got a sci-fi movie we're working on that we're hoping to get. It's a noir futuristic thing that would be fun to do. It's a lot bigger budget, so it's going to take more. And again, hoping that can move forward. And then we also have one that we've been talking to some of the other filmmakers here, and to possibly shoot in Texas. That's about a returning vet who has PTSD,
Right.
and so that's not only topical. The story is again another character-driven piece that, and especially in the States, that's a big issue with so many vets coming back that have issues. So we're doing that. We have a pilot out now that we're hoping something would happen with that, but that's a crapshoot. You never know about those. So we've got other things going on, and Michael's involved with these. So it's not like my writing partner and producing partner, Sam Ingraffia, he's not here at the festival, but he knows Michael and he knows the talent, and he knows part of what we're doing and wanting to, and the other projects we have coming. So it's an involvement. And the same thing with the majority of the actors that we worked with on this movie is we create a family, both technically and the actors, artistically. It's really, so we use the same people. Like I said, my editor I've used 3 times.
Yeah.
So these are people that know us, and then we have that shorthand, and it's really nice to have that family. So many directors, the older directors, would do that, and they have the core people they like working with, and so.
And what advice would you give to someone that came up to you, a family member, said, I want to be an actor or I want to work in films? What would you say to them?
You first.
Says me son, I won't give you any tricky questions. So.
If you want to be an actor, that's a terrible thing to do to yourself, somebody said to me when I first decided I wanted to be an actor. But having said that, find a role even before you study. Find a role and do it over and over and over and over, as many times as you can on a stage somewhere, and just keep doing that role, and then you'll find what perhaps you might be missing, or what you feel you need to search for.
Yeah.
And then perhaps find someone to study with. But that's the best advice I can give anyone. Beyond that, I wouldn't pretend to speak, as some sort of sage.
No, the reason I asked is I just wonder, an example would be a good friend of mine, who was a nurse. I remember asking her once, I said, would you recommend someone becoming a nurse? And she was ambiguous about the answer. So it's always interesting to hear what people say as an encouragement for their own profession, whatever that may be.
But it's not for everyone, because Michael and I have talked about this, especially acting, in at least most of the arts, but acting in particular, you're constantly applying for a job, and it's also dealing with rejection.
Yeah, because most of it must be rejection.
Absolutely.
By the law of averages,
Absolutely.
of course.
So when you find people that you like to work with, you hope you get to work with them again, and because again, that whole sense of I feel a family here, I feel a connection, but again, you're constantly in that state of looking for employment. If you get a job that lasts a couple of weeks, a month, especially in acting, that's amazing. And that's outside of the stars or the people that, and even they, I can't tell you how many times I've seen them interviewed and they go, I was scared to death, that was my last job, I'd never work again. And you're making millions and you're worried about working again. There are other avenues. I think for me is not being afraid to let the doors open. There are a lot of doors that can open to you. and Michael's a perfect example of saying, well, I'm acting now, but I'm also writing, and I'm doing other things. And so if you don't limit yourself, there's not that smell of desperation. And so when you go in to a situation, you're more open, you're giving, and the people won't say, oh, I don't want to be around that person 20 hours a day because they're going to be a pain. You know, and so it's a real tough. If you can find, what was the thing? If you can find something else to do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I often imagine filmmaking is like being a drug addict. It's something, once you do it, you can't let go.
No. If it is an obsession, it's one of those things where and we've talked about this too, that's kind of like our religion, our church, our temple, our synagogue, you know, because you get into it and you say, I got to have another fix. I got to go back.
Yeah, all the filmmakers are saying,
yeah.
You know, whether it's documentaries they're making or shorts or.
I mean, that's one of the beauties about being here is we came early so we could start seeing as many as we could. I mean, granted, a lot of them are scheduled at the same time, so we had to pick and choose. But to come here and actually sit down and see what other filmmakers are doing, it's amazing, and it's inspiring because you go, look what's going on in this part of the world that's different from us, and look what they've got, and look what they're bringing to it, and look at their story. And so to me, that's a drug too. We came so we can sit and watch things and say, look at this, and not just feature shorts too. There's some amazing shorts and documentaries.
Yeah.
We've been jumping around, and it's been frustrating because we've had several things that we've gone. They're at the same time. We have to choose one of them, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a clash. Yeah.
But it's great. It's great to see what's going on out there. Yeah?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
I have tasted the sweet nectar of life, smelled the sulfur of hell, seen the joys of suffering, and the pain of birth. Have you lived a full and happy life? Are you satisfied with what you are? A true soldier to the bitter end. And it's ending. Everything is ending. The results are in, and they are not in our keeping. There's no one there to help us. But then, we all die alone. What we've known, we've known right from birth. You think that's our curse? The knowing? I've traveled my own dark path, and it's led me right here.